Yeah, we had a guy show up at our church one Wednesday night and come walking in, I mean, probably 350, 400 pounds, rode up on a motorcycle. He had coveralls on, nothing under him. And I just see whispering going all throughout the sanctuary. Like, what is going on? And so I went over and asked someone, I said, what is going on? They're like, that's Red. I'm like, well, who's Red? They're like he's literally the biggest drug, most dangerous guy in our area. So they all thought he was there to collect money from someone that owed him money. But he was trying to turn his life around and came to church. And did he call you? I don't know what he would call you, but he would always come up to my wife and kiss her hand every service and honor her and stuff. But you never know. So this is just a few minutes. This could take, we won't take real long, but if anybody just something we've talked about today or has a question, I'll try to answer it or I'll make something up or whatever. I'm the expert in the room because I came all the way from Missouri. And that's how experts work. It's just anybody that's come the farthest. They're the expert in the room. So does anybody have any comments you want to make or questions or anything? Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Conditioning's real. And, I'll just say this. Do you have a question? Let me say this. This idea of conditioning, I didn't get a chance to say it, but we'll have people that'll go off to prison for 10 years. And they won't use while they're in prison. They can get drugs in prison, but there'll be people that really will do well. And they think that they're in recovery, and they think they're doing well. They'll get out of prison. We see it happen all the time. And the day they get out, there'll be a needle in their arm. And here's what I tell people, you put them in prison in a different environment, but here's what happens. They walk out of that prison, and they walk back into the same house that they used to get high in, same smells, same pictures on the wall, and all of that conditioning comes crashing down on them, and almost before they know it, they're using and didn't even realize it, right? Like that is the power of conditioning and really understanding that. Yeah.
I wanted to ask, like, if you've got any advice for any of us, if we're trying to minister and we're trying to be people who are safe people, to listen. I want to hear your story, and then suddenly I get blasted with something that maybe reminds me of my past, or I hear something that's just truly shocking and heartbreaking. Like, how do I prepare myself? How do we prepare ourselves to be good people and to be available in a moment? Because I've lived enough life where I could tell part of my story, and I can tell, okay, you're overwhelmed right now.
Yeah.
You don't need to hear this. And then I'll just lock it back down again. How can we be available to listen?
That's a great question. So you're talking about as the receiver, right? So I want to be safe. So whether it's my neighbor, it's a coworker, like I want to be the person that people know, man, I can go talk to Scott. He's safe for me, right? And so, with the idea of shock, there's a term we use called unconditional positive regard. All right, I'm just going to go off the limb here. I'm going to jump off the limb. So who is in our society now, who are the lepers of our day? It's sex offenders. It's sex offenders. So nobody in town wants sex offenders. So there's a whole group of people that are on the registry in Missouri, registered sex offenders, that they have to take a weekly trauma class from a trauma therapist. So we let them use our building. So that class, there's 16 roughly that walk into our building every Monday morning to see their therapist at our church building. So one day, one of them was talking and said, I want to go to church, but no one wants me. She's like, well, we meet in a church. Have you tried this church? He's like, no. She's like, so he came the next week. And he started coming to our church. And then he told the group, again, I don't know what you all think of me, I said, I hope all 16 of them end up at our church, right? If God can't save everybody, he can't save anybody. He just can't. And we had some people come to me privately and said, I don't think I can come here. All right, well, good luck. That's my answer, being honest, right? We're going to be a safe place for everybody. Everybody. Now, again, we beefed up security and my leadership, and we don't get in the pulpit and say, hey, this new guy that walked in is a registered sex offender. But the people that need to know. And we're going to protect our kids. But we're also trying to reach our world. And everybody's welcome at Landmark. So, going back to your question, we're going to sit down and have all kinds of conversations with people, right? And have to hear, I've had some pretty conversations with some of these people, right? One of the guys that's still attending, a couple of them have followed, but one guy's still come to our church from time to time. And I've sat and listened to him, talk to me about his life and what happened to him. And I'm sorry, there's kids in here, am I being okay? But that he molested a 7-year-old boy, went to prison and molested a 9-year-old boy. And he's telling me these stories, right? Unconditional positive regard, he's a human being. He's a human being. Regardless of what he's done, he's a human being. And he needs Jesus, right? So that's got to be my mindset. I can't be like, I can't get my chair and scoot it back 3 feet, right? I mean, Jesus touched everybody. He just did. He touched everybody. And he touched the people that everybody else says, why is he doing that? Why is he doing it? So I think we just have to get the mindset that people have value, not for what they do. They have value because they're a person made in God's image, period. Everybody. Does that help, right? So number one. And then number two, if someone's talking to you and they say something that triggers you. So number one, I can tell you that I've never prayed, and I don't want to give you easy answers, but this is a true answer. I've never prayed for discernment of spirits, and I'm going to talk about this more tomorrow, I think, but I've never prayed in my life for the gift of discernment more than I have when we started these ministries. God, give me discernment, and I don't go into any meeting without serious prayer and sometimes fasting. Like, those things can be helpful, but there is nothing wrong that if someone's talking to you and they trigger something in you to say, hey, I do want to hear your story, but right now, something just triggered in me and I need a break, right? Like, we'll have to come back to this conversation. There's nothing wrong with saying that. I'm showing respect to them, and there's nothing wrong with saying, I need time. Does that?
Yeah, that answers.
Yeah. I've absolutely told someone, you know what? Like, we're going to have to come back to this conversation. I need some time. So, yeah.
Do you have any recommendations on how to start the process, I guess, of how to speak to them, to be able to testify to them? Would it be just like talking to,
Yeah.
what you normally do?
Yeah. And I'm not wanting to put you off, but I think we're going to probably really, are you going to be here tomorrow? Yeah. We're going to talk about that quite a bit tomorrow.
All right.
Yes.
Tomorrow's great.
All right, so hold that question. Yes.
So what you mentioned just briefly before about some people having committed these atrocities, right? I mean, because that's what they are.
Yeah.
But what about the parents or the families that were the abused? Like, can they come to the recovery group? Or how do you work with people like that in terms of recovery? And
So run that by me again. I want to make sure I'm hearing you.
so with you have the victims and their families,
Yeah.
right? And then you have the
Perpetrator,
perpetrators.
offender.
So if you're dealing with families that are victims, how would you incorporate them into recovery? Is that possible? Or
Yeah. That's a good question. And so again, so let me back up, because I don't want to make light, right? So we have maybe this registered sex offender coming, and then we have other people in our church that were molested as a kid. And so again, their trauma, So you got to find that balance because, okay, now you've got this guy sitting over here, even wasn't the one that molested me, but molested someone like you. Does that make sense, right? So how did they coexist in the same space, right? We're trying to create a safe place for everybody. And, we've had some of those hard conversations. And I don't know if my wife wants to help out here or not, but we've had those hard conversations with again, we had a lady that came to me several times, and she's like, why are you letting these people come to our church? And she had a lot of sexual trauma from her past. And she's like, I can't even look at them. I can't, but my answer to her was, you've got to come into this church and experience the grace and love and mercy of God. And I want to respect you, but don't they deserve the same experience? Like, how do we begin to judge and pick and choose who gets God's grace and mercy? And so we try to help those people and provide safe places for them to talk through, right? But we have a big recovery meeting on Wednesday nights, and we absolutely have people sitting in there that have been abused, and we have people sitting in the same room that have done the abuse, and we've tried to navigate that. Yeah, that's a great point, though. Yeah, you want everybody to feel valued, right? Yeah. Yeah. And you just tell me when we're done. Yeah, with questions.
I would like to ask a question real quick. So when we are trying to reach people who have been traumatized, in my experience, we've had folks sometimes that have been in church 20, 30 years, filled with the Holy Ghost, probably married, they're very faithful to the house of God, but they've never dealt with their trauma.
Yeah.
And then we have new people come into the church and they have a really hard time working with them, or even their efforts to reach the lost are undermined, and their perspective is it's the lost person's fault. Yeah. They just really, because they've been filled with the Holy Ghost, they come to church regularly. Brother Keller was talking about how he was recognizing in himself a lot of these things. But I've dealt with a lot of people, they can see a list like that, and they do not think for 1 second that any of those things apply to them. But in my effort working with them, I can see constantly, okay, I see what they did, but really your trauma is undermining your ability to really, but these folks have been in church for 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
So do you have any advice on how to help them to become more aware of the fact that they might be born again?
Yeah.
But they still haven't dealt with their stuff.
Yeah, and what a great question. So here's why I say, like, the more we can talk about things and normalize them, right? And it even goes back to what I said this morning. Like, these are things that I say to my whole church is, like, my kids, I love my kids, they have a whole list. They call it, what do they call it? But they have a whole list on their phone, and they'll bring it up once in a while, of all the crazy things Dad has said from the pulpit. Like I said one time, I would love to just baptize people, get them filled with the Holy Ghost, and then just shoot them so I know they go to heaven. Like I said that in a sermon one time. That way they could never backslide. So that made their list. He's like, you said that from the pulpit.
Do not write that down, everybody.
Don't write that down.
We're not doing that here.
Like,
no.
So again, I say from the pulpit, the Holy Ghost doesn't fix everything. So I said that in a sermon one time, preaching about mental health. And my son wrote that down. And then they were quoting it the rest of the day. The Holy Ghost doesn't fix anything. I didn't say anything. I said the Holy Ghost doesn't fix. But I think we have, I don't know your people, right? But I think some of those people, whether it's just their own mindset or they've heard it from it's almost a culture we've created. So again, now, here's the problem. If I get baptized and I get the Holy Ghost, and now 2 years go by and I'm struggling with this inner stuff, and I'm looking around and nobody else seems to be struggling, then I'm going to put up defense mechanisms, and I'm never going to admit I've got a problem. I'm just not, right? So we've got to talk about it. We've got to preach about it. Like, people need to hear. They need to hear, and I'm not saying you don't do this, I don't know, but they need to hear regularly from their pastor preaching, saying, you know what? You may have been in church 15 years. It's okay to not be okay. It's okay to struggle. It's okay. Even like I said, my wife's brother, I mean, he grew up in church. So he's how old? He's almost 40. And all this stuff just came out in the last 5 years. I mean, he's preaching. You thought he was this great Christian, powerful. God would move on him. But he was carrying all this baggage and never found a safe place to get it out. And now he's not living for God. And again, because there was never a place where he felt, for whatever reason, that he could just come out and say, my pastor's son molested me for years and my pastor knew about it. Does that make sense? I don't know if I'm getting to your answer, Brother McAllister, but so I think we got to normalize it. I think we have to talk about it. I think if we can create even, I don't know if you all do it, but like at our church, we do connect groups twice a year for 6 weeks and create spaces where people are with smaller groups that they feel safe in to open up and get those conversations flowing. And at the end of the day, if I'm the pastor and I see something in you, right? If I saw something like you said, if I saw smoke in you that's sinful, I'm going to address it, am I not? Like if I see you starting to go down a path that's sinful, I'm going to address that. Well, at some level then as the pastor, if I see the smoke in you that, hey, this is hindering you because you haven't dealt with your stuff, I'm going to finally address it head on. Like, does that answer come close? I mean, that's, yeah, right? But I think the more we normalize it and talk about it and provide these safe places to get people a chance to look in the mirror,
We could take maybe one more question. He'll have
I'll let you
questions and
decide who.
answers the next couple of days, and I don't think he's running out. I think Brother Keller had his hand up first there, because we got other stuff this afternoon.
Yeah.
You can ask him after.
Okay.
You can ask him after. Go ahead, Brother Keller.
I'll be around for sure.
Yes.
Okay.
So my question, just I know we have a wide range of people here and experiences. I know how to deal with people who've going through things that I've had to go through. But how do you respond to somebody who is coming to you with something that you've never had anything to do with at all?
Yeah. Yeah. It's a great question. My wife has never done anything wrong in her life. I'm being serious. She grew up in church. You know the verses where Jesus comes back, 2 will be in the field, 1 will be taken, 1 left? Like, I'm never alone with my wife. I always have a third person. Because if we're alone and Jesus comes back and he's leaving 1 and taking 1, I've got no shot. It's a true story. Like, I'm scared to be alone with her. Like, yeah. Not too long ago, we went through a gas station and I wasn't paying attention. She put up on the counter her drink, and then I heard the lady ask for her ID. And I turned around like, what? And it was Mike's Lemonade. And my wife just thought it was lemonade, right? But that's alcohol. I'm just going to be honest with you. I'm confessing. If they hadn't have carded her, I mean, my wife looks young, but she don't look under 21. I mean, but they carded her because they get in trouble if they don't. But if they hadn't carded her and I probably would have let her take a couple of drinks before I told her. Just to ruin her testimony. I probably would have let her. Because she's never tasted alcohol, never drank, she's been perfect her whole life. I probably would have let her get a little soused and then told her. So, I say that to answer your question. My wife connects with people with drug issues sometimes better than I do because she cares. She's never done anything wrong in her life, but I tell you, the people in our church that are coming with drug addiction stuff, gravitate toward her. They love my wife to death, and they'll open up to her, and she can help them. Especially people with drug addiction, here's the last thing I'll say. They can read people better than anybody you've ever met in your life. People that have been living on the streets, they can walk in. You'd call it the gift of discernment, but they can just analyze you. And you know what they see? They see genuineness and love and care for them, and that'll connect. So you don't have to have lived it. Is that what you're asking? To be able to help them. Thank you for hanging out with me today.